I want to talk to you guys about the kind of information you need to stop volunteering to women on dates. Because I'm so tired of guys thinking that when they show up on a date, they got to preemptively tell a woman all this stuff about them or mention all these things, thinking that, well, if she has a complete picture of me off of these first 2 dates, then she'll know who I truly am and she'll want to date me. That's not how this works. For women, dating is a journey. And part of the fun for women in dating is going on that journey and actually learning about you from day 1 till day you die, basically. And so you trying to give up all the information about yourself on that first date could actually be causing you to lose attraction. And there's some things, honestly, you don't need to volunteer that early on, because she needs to have a better idea of who you are before she actually hears about some of the stuff that you want to talk about. So to that end, we're going to go into the 10 things you need to stop volunteering as information to women early on in the dating process. Number 1, if you're a virgin, you need to stop telling women that you're a virgin. Now, I will preface this by saying in college, I was a virgin. And I actually told women that. And back in the day, my late teens, early 20s, come to find out there were women at my school that were actually trying to date me to take my virginity. Didn't know that at the time. But as a late teens, early 20s guy, I can get away with that. If you're a guy that's in his late 20s, 30s, 40s, and you still haven't, lost your virginity, well, guess what, guy? That is nobody's business. Now you're thinking to yourself, well, what if a woman comes along and we end up getting into the bedroom and she finds out, I don't know what I'm doing? Honestly, when you first hook up with most people, you're going to be learning a new person every time. So for those of you that have not hooked up with anybody yet, all right, you're thinking she needs to think that you're a pro in order for this to work out. Here's what typically happens. You inevitably hook up with that first woman, and then there's a learning curve. You realize you got to learn her body, you got to learn what she likes in bed, what she doesn't like. And so you go through that, and then you break up. Then you got to find somebody else and start all over again. You got to learn their body, their likes, their dislikes, because the thing that the last person liked could be different from what this person likes. Yes, there'll be some generalities of what women like, but there's a lot of changes. Some women, like you going downtown with them, and some don't. Some have sensitive areas and some don't. So it's like, I say that to say that anytime you get with a new person, it's going to be a new experience. Therefore, if it's your actual first time experience, the woman you're with doesn't need to know that, because it's going to be new to her whether she knew you had hookups before or not. But telling women that you are a virgin still, it's not the attractive thing that you may think it's going to actually be. You're thinking if you told a woman a virgin, it's because, you're able to have self-control. You're waiting for the one. And that's sad to say, that's stuff that sounds like something a woman's doing. Not to say that if you are a virgin guy at this point, that it's a bad thing. I'm just saying, if you're verbalizing these things, I wanted to wait for the right one, or somebody was special. Well, that sounds better coming from a woman than it does coming from a man. And so by default of that, it could actually turn her off. So if you're a virgin, you're in your late 20s, your 30s, your 40s, don't think that if you meet a woman that actually wants to go to bed with you, that you need to divulge to her that you're a virgin. It's not necessary. She'll still hook up with you if you don't tell her. The second piece of information that you need to stop volunteering to women on these early on dates is how many people you slept with. So this is the opposite of the virgin problem. Is, let's say you're a guy that slept with 100 women. She doesn't need to know that. Giving her that information isn't going to actually help your situation, and it could give her a judgment of you that is not the most positive. Now, this is not to say that if a woman asks you, have you been with, how many people you've been with, that you don't have to answer. I personally don't, but you can say, I don't kiss and tell, but I've had a decent amount of experience, and leave it at that. But you don't need to be putting out specific numbers, because some women will actually get in their head about oh my God, he's going with X amount of people. What does this mean about me? Am I just going to be a number? Am I going to be as good as those other 99 girls that he had? Oh my God. He just add all these extra problems that you don't really need. So if you need to give a woman the impression that you've hooked up with people, that's, in your right to do. Just keep it very nonchalant. Just say, hey, I've definitely had girlfriends and I've, hooked up before, no big, no foul. But you really want to make it a thing where you're not trying to just spew out, what you've done with X amount of people and all this other stuff. Because realistically, my motto is, if it's not helping attract her, then there's no point in divulging the information. And that's not something that you need to divulge. That's going to make me oh, he slept with 100 women. I feel like I like him. That's not really how that thought process goes. Okay. The third piece of information that you need to stop volunteering to women is why your last relationship didn't work out. Now, notice, by the way, I'm saying this is information you don't need to volunteer. If women ask you these questions, you can choose to answer them or not, but you don't need to be divulging things of your own accord that aren't being asked of you. And this is one of those things. If you're on a date with a woman, clearly it means whatever previous thing you were in didn't work out. But you don't need to go into detail for that. One, because some women will place judgment based on how long it was. Let's say you're a guy that gets over, relationships easily. A woman breaks up with you. It's no big deal to you. You just move on. But it's been like a month and you go out with her. Now she's going to think it's only been a month. He's not really over his ex, blah, 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 blah. Or you could, if you say the opposite, like, hey, it's been like 5 years, she could be thinking, oh my God, it's been 5 years. Like, what's with this guy? He must be crazy. Why can't no other girls date him? And so you don't need to divulge like that kind of stuff. Like why it didn't work out. I actually have a number 4 here. I say, how long ago your last relationship was. That's the 4th thing. But yeah, talking about why it didn't work out, because most women are going to assume that the guy's at fault. So you trying to give a reason, it could make her think that you're lying about it. You could just say, hey, you know what? It just didn't work out. I wish her the best, but I'm just on the greener pastures. But going into explicit detail, like that's not something that needs to be talked about until later on in the relationship. But even then, let her ask about it. And in terms of number 4, how long ago it was, like I said, whether it was like a month ago or 5 years ago, like you don't know how the woman's going to be judging that timetable. So I typically err on the side of that's really not your business. If you want to be vague, you can just say, oh, it's been a minute. I've just, been concentrating on, work or whatever like that. But, now I'm back on the scene. I'm here dating you. Leave it like that and just kind of phrase it in a way where you're kind of moving past what the actual topic is. Because again, how it ended and how long it's been are not really things that you need to personally divulge to the woman that you're dating for the first time. The 5th thing that you need to stop volunteering to women is that you're talking to other people. Like if let's say you meet a woman on a dating app, right? If she asks you, hey, so are you seeing other people? Again, you can choose to divulge that if you want to, but if you volunteer it, like that's not going to help your cause. You volunteering to a woman that you're still dating other people, all she's going to think is either A, you're bragging, or B, like, why is he bringing this up? Like, is he trying to like put me some kind of contest? Like what's going on? And so it's not something you need to say. Like women, and actually you want the woman to be assuming that you're seeing other people. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean she has it fully in her head that she knows that, because it's this weird thing of like, she wants to know she's possibly in competition with other women that you may possibly be dating, but she doesn't want it explicitly spelled out to her in terms of who you're seeing or how many you're seeing. So her own head will have in the back of it, he's probably seeing a bunch of other people. Let that be the thought. Don't give her any kind of like indication that she's right. And if she asks you, you can say, well, I'm just back from the dating scene. I'm just trying to find the right person. And so it is what it is, and leave it at that. All right. Very simple. The 6th bit of information you need to stop volunteering to women early on are your feelings about them. Because realistically, guy, if you go on like 1 or 2 good dates, you're going to be having a heightened sense of feeling for this person. Honestly, most of it's lust, because after 1 or 2 good dates, you're really ready to jump her in the sack. And so you're thinking that you have these feelings, all of a sudden they're feelings of love. It's lust, but you think they're these feelings of love and you should tell her and it'll make things bond faster. Meanwhile, she needs 2 to 3 months to solidify her feelings. If she is not at the point where she is feeling like your potential boyfriend, then you telling her your feelings is not a good idea. And you're thinking, you've seen all these movies and songs where the guys are like, oh, I love you, and I should just emote all my feelings, and baby, I want you, this and that. Dude, it's like 2 or 3 dates. You have not been with her long enough to have the feelings of love that you think you feel. You're feeling feelings of lust because you want to hook up with her. And yes, you could still like her, but most of those feelings are still early on feelings that are going to lead you towards the bedroom. You need time to spend more time with her to really make sure that your feelings are valid and actually true. And so therefore, you trying to say early on, well, I want to tell you that it's been 2 days and I already have feelings for you, and I want you to be the girlfriend, all this stuff. Dude, she's not there. And all you're doing is shooting yourself in the foot. So look at what her timetable is and then match accordingly. And at the point where she starts telling you about her feelings for you voluntarily, that's when you can start responding to those. And I don't even say responding by trying to say, oh, I have feelings also, but just doing things that indicate that's true. Okay. The 7th thing that you do not need to volunteer to women early on is your social media information. I know a lot of you guys, after 1 or 2 dates, you want to get her on Snapchat, WhatsApp, Instagram, Facebook, if it's still a thing, TikTok. And guys, I'm telling you, the less a woman knows about you in the beginning, the more it's going to be that she gets attracted to you. Because here's how it happens, okay? She's dating 5 other guys, right? And all these other guys have social media. So after each date, she can go to their Facebook, their Instagram, their Snapchat, and look up all their pictures and all their stuff and all their information. And by date 2 or 3, she's getting kind of bored. Why? Because part of the fun for women is trying to find out more about you. You having pages she can already go to where she can find that stuff and look at it is going to zap that away from her real quick, especially if you give it to her. Whereas if you do like I do, which is I keep my social media private for friends only, and except minus the dating site stuff, but like my personal accounts, I keep not publicly open. So when she goes to those pages, she can't see anything. Why? Because I want her to get to know me. I want to be able to, give her the proper narrative about who I am versus her getting a misread based on a comment she might have read, a picture she might have seen, pictures with other women she might have seen with me, whether it was a friend or a cousin. Like, I don't need those kind of problems. And so the worst thing you could do is after that first date, just send her all your social media information and say, come be my friend, this is that. Like, don't do that. No, give her that 2 to 3 months. And I tell all women that I've dated before, I said, hey, you know what? Like, until we become boyfriend or girlfriend, we're not going to be friends on social media. Like, we need to get to know each other. And I find women surprisingly agree to that. Like, women are kind of like, that's totally cool. I get it. Because, if we're not going to be anything, there's no point in connecting and then having to defriend each other later. So even women out there are like, I don't have to be this guy's friend on social media yet. The 8th thing that you don't need to volunteer to women is family drama. Like, I know you want to go on dates and wax poetic about your crazy Uncle Bob or how your Aunt Mary's an alcoholic and all that stuff. Dude, all doling out your family drama and stuff early on is going to do is make her think that if she gets with you, she's going to be dragged into the drama. And as much as you think women like drama, women don't want to be dragged into new drama. So this is probably not the best plan of action to do, is to try to tell a woman, yeah, I got all this crap stuff going on, because that's not an attractive proposition for anybody, let alone women. The 9th thing you need to stop volunteering to women on dates are other hookup acts that you've done with other women. Yes, you had a Mile High Club situation with a woman one time. You hooked up with one woman in a massage parlor. You hooked up with one woman at a pool at a hotel. And these are some great stories to tell your homeboys. But to women, even if they ask you the story, they really don't want to know, because they think they're ready. They're not actually prepared for some of the debauchery that you've done with other women, and they don't know if they're going to be able to handle that debauchery, or if they want to do those things, or she's going to think like, man, he's done so much stuff, I'm not going to be good enough for him. And also, it's just not a good look. Like, women don't really want to hear about other hookup acts that you've done with other women. They want to think about what you're going to potentially do to them, and you could tell them, oh, I like doing this. But when you add a specific face, name, date, and time to that kind of stuff, it can make a woman feel insecure and make her feel a bit turned off by that. So you err on the side of not doing that in order to keep her attraction for you, all right? And then the 10th bit of information that you do not need to be volunteering to women are past traumas. And this is stuff like, let's say you in the past were like an alcoholic, or you had a drug addiction, or you have some kind of dark family secret, whatever. Well, this is past trauma. This is stuff that you got past. Ideally, you went to therapy for it. Ideally, you dealt with it. And so these are things, I'm not even saying hide from the woman in terms of in a long-term relationship, but in those first few dates, early on, when she's getting to know you, telling her about past trauma is not necessary, because you might think to yourself, well, I'm past it and I want to talk about it so I can show her that I'm able to overcome obstacles. And all she's going to think is he going to relapse back into those problems? Is this going to be an issue for our relationship? And those things are not things that you need to be building up early on. Now, when she becomes the girlfriend, or as you guys start to get more serious to where it's about to lead to a relationship, you can choose then to talk about those things. But if it's a past trauma that you've gotten over, that is no longer in your life, it's not necessary to bring these particular things up. Unless, of course, it's like, you had a kid when you were 15. It could be a bit traumatic, and you might want to bring that kind of stuff up. But like, life situations happen to all of us, but you don't know how that's going to be judged early on by a woman. A woman could very well be open to some of your past traumas once she's gotten to know you. But in the get to know you stage, the bar is very low for how often she's going to try to stick around if you are divulging these kind of things. So this is why you want to really focus on what she's about, making her feel good, and learning about her. And your past traumas need to be put in a box somewhere that says later on, once we're in a relationship, once I can trust her to keep this information and to not spread it to other people. All right. This episode is brought to you by the Introvert Dating Success Membership Academy, opening on November 1st. Join the waitlist and get your free PDF, The Girlfriend Roadmap Checklist, at introvertdatingsuccess.com.
Thanks for listening to the Introvert Dating Success Podcast. Visit us at introvertdatingsuccess.com for more great tips on attracting women using your natural introvert charm. Oh, yeah.